Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to share with you has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Just hours ago, 50 Cent, yes, that 50 Cent, dropped a bombshell that's threatening to upend everything we thought we knew about Diddy's empire. In an unprecedented move, the G-Unit leader released never-before-seen court footage that's making headlines across every major news outlet. This isn't just another celebrity feud or social media drama. This is something far more serious. You could practically hear the collective gasp from music executives worldwide when the footage surfaced. Imagine being in those boardrooms right now, phones blowing up, emergency meetings being called, and probably more than a few panic attacks happening in private offices. The video shows Diddy in a deposition setting that looks straight out of a Hollywood thriller, but trust me, this is all too real. The timing couldn't be worse for the Bad Boy Entertainment founder, coming right as he was preparing for his next big business venture. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would 50 Cent of all people have access to this kind of material? Well, that's where things get even more interesting. The footage appears to come from a sealed civil case that's been floating around legal circles for months, one that many powerful people hoped would stay buried forever. What we're witnessing here isn't just a breach of confidentiality. It's potentially the opening salvo in a war that could reshape the entire music industry landscape. Let me paint you a picture of how this all went down. It started with a cryptic Instagram post from 50 Cent early this morning. Just a simple check your DMs caption with a link to a secure file sharing service. Within minutes, verified journalists and influencers were receiving clips that would make any network news director salivate. The audio quality alone suggests this wasn't some shaky phone recording. We're talking professional-grade footage that someone definitely didn't want getting out. The initial reaction from Diddy's camp, radio silence. Not a single statement, no damage control team scrambling to contain the narrative. It's almost as if they were caught completely off guard by this revelation. Meanwhile, social media platforms are exploding with theories and speculations. Every frame of that footage is being dissected, analyzed, and debated by fans and industry insiders alike. Some are calling it career suicide for Diddy, while others see it as long overdue accountability. But here's where it gets really juicy. The context surrounding this leak. Sources close to the situation suggest this might be connected to that ongoing investigation we've all heard whispers about but never seen concrete evidence for. Remember those rumors that kept popping up over the years? The ones that always seemed to disappear as quickly as they appeared? Well, folks, this footage might just be the smoking gun everyone's been looking for. And if that's the case, we're not just talking about a PR crisis. We're witnessing the potential unraveling of one of music's most powerful empires. What makes this story particularly fascinating is how it's playing out in real time. Unlike traditional scandals where information drips out slowly, controlled by publicists and lawyers, this one is unfolding at warp speed. Every minute brings new developments, new revelations, and new questions. The media landscape has become a battlefield, with different outlets racing to verify details while trying to maintain journalistic integrity in the face of overwhelming public demand for information. As we watch this drama unfold, one thing becomes crystal clear. Nothing in the music industry will ever be the same again. The implications of this footage extend far beyond Diddy himself, potentially affecting dozens of artists, executives, and power players who've built their careers within his orbit. We're talking about ripple effects that could reach every corner of the entertainment world, from record deals to streaming services to live events. This isn't just a story about one man's troubles. It's about the exposure of an entire system that's operated in the shadows for decades. The industry's reaction to this explosive development has been nothing short of seismic. Major labels are reportedly conducting internal audits at breakneck speed, while talent agencies are scrambling to distance their clients from any potential collateral damage. Sources indicate that Universal Music Group has already convened an emergency board meeting, with Warner and Sony following suit within hours. It's as if someone pulled the fire alarm in every executive suite across the entertainment world. Artists signed to Bad Boy Records are facing an impossible dilemma. Established acts like French Montana and Cassie are reportedly seeking legal counsel to review their contracts, while newer signees are quietly exploring exit strategies. The tension is palpable. Do they stand by their label boss and risk association with whatever storms may come, or do they jump ship and potentially burn bridges in one of the most influential networks in music? Several high-profile collaborators have already begun scrubbing social media references to Diddy, creating an eerie digital trail of disappearing endorsements and deleted posts. Behind closed doors, the power dynamics are shifting dramatically. Longtime allies are suddenly becoming scarce, with several A-list producers and songwriters allegedly putting projects on hold until the dust settles. One particularly telling sign: multiple Grammy-winning producer Pharrell Williams reportedly put a planned collaboration with Diddy on indefinite hold, citing artistic differences despite months of public enthusiasm about the project. Even Jay-Z, once a fierce rival turned occasional collaborator, has gone conspicuously silent, neither confirming nor denying rumors of severing business ties. Perhaps most revealing is the response from music streaming platforms. Spotify and Apple Music have both issued carefully worded statements emphasizing their commitment to ethical business practices, while insiders report accelerated reviews of content partnerships with Bad Boy Entertainment. Playlist curators are reportedly under strict instructions to avoid featuring Diddy-related content prominently, leading to noticeable drops in streaming numbers for associated artists. YouTube Music has taken an even more aggressive stance, temporarily halting monetization for channels directly linked to Bad Boy properties pending further review. The financial markets have reacted with equal vigor. Shares in companies with ties to Diddy's various ventures experience significant volatility, with some dropping as much as 15% in early trading. Ciroc, the premium vodka brand where Diddy serves as both investor and global spokesperson, saw immediate backlash from retailers and consumers alike. Major liquor distributors are reportedly reviewing their contracts, while marketing partners Diageo face mounting pressure from shareholders to reassess their relationship with the embattled mogul. Industry veterans are drawing parallels to previous scandals that reshaped the music business landscape, but with a crucial difference: the speed and scale of today's digital ecosystem mean the fallout is exponentially more severe. Music attorneys are reporting a flood of inquiries from concerned clients, while entertainment insurance providers are reportedly raising premiums for high-profile industry figures. The Recording Industry Association of America (RIAA) has found itself in the awkward position of having to address systemic issues without appearing to target specific individuals, leading to vague statements about maintaining industry standards. Most telling of all is the impact on emerging talent. Young artists who once dreamed of signing with Bad Boy are now reconsidering their aspirations, with some actively pursuing alternative paths to success. Music schools and industry programs are incorporating discussions about ethics and corporate responsibility into their curricula, using this situation as a case study in navigating complex industry relationships. Talent scouts report a noticeable shift in how new artists approach contract negotiations, with increased skepticism about long-term commitments to major labels. Meanwhile, industry watchdog groups are seizing this moment to push for greater transparency and accountability across the board. Organizations like the Future of Music Coalition and Black Music Action Coalition are amplifying their calls for reform, arguing that this situation highlights long-standing issues of power imbalance and lack of oversight in the entertainment sector. Their petitions and social media campaigns are gaining unprecedented traction, suggesting this scandal might trigger broader changes in how the industry operates. Now let's dive into the heart of this controversy: the actual content of those damning court recordings that have everyone talking. The footage, spanning nearly 3 hours of deposition testimony, reveals conversations so explosive they read like a script from a crime drama. Through painstaking analysis of the transcripts and accompanying documents, we've uncovered patterns and connections that paint a disturbing picture of alleged misconduct stretching back. The most jaw-dropping revelation involves what appears to be a sophisticated network of offshore accounts used to facilitate questionable transactions. Financial records presented during the deposition show millions of dollars moving through shell companies registered in tax havens like the Cayman Islands and Luxembourg. But here's where it gets really interesting. These funds often ended up in production budgets for major music projects, effectively laundering them through legitimate business operations. Industry insiders familiar with these practices estimate this system may have touched hundreds of albums and singles over the years. Even more troubling are the allegations regarding artists' exploitation. Multiple witnesses describe a pattern of predatory contracts that locked young talent into deals reminiscent of indentured servitude. One particularly harrowing account comes from a former Bad Boy executive who testified about the 90% clause, a standard provision that purportedly gave the label 90% of all revenue generated by new artists, regardless of their contribution to production costs. The witness claims this practice was so widespread that many successful artists never actually earned a profit despite their chart-topping hits and sold-out tours. The testimony also sheds light on alleged manipulation tactics used to maintain control over artists' careers. Psychological experts consulted during the proceedings identified patterns consistent with coercive control, including isolation from outside influences, manufactured feuds with other artists, and strategic leaks of compromising information to keep performers compliant. Text messages entered as evidence reveal a calculated approach to managing artists' personal lives, with handlers instructed to monitor everything from romantic relationships to social media activity. Perhaps most alarming are the safety concerns raised during the proceedings. Several witnesses described an environment where physical security measures were used to enforce compliance rather than protect artists. Security staff allegedly received instructions to prevent certain artists from leaving studio facilities without explicit permission, while others reported being accompanied everywhere by guards who doubled as enforcers. Medical records submitted as evidence document numerous injuries sustained during disciplinary actions, though the circumstances surrounding these incidents remain heavily redacted. The financial implications extend far beyond individual artists. Internal communications reveal a complex web of cross-promotional deals between Bad Boy Entertainment and various corporate partners, suggesting potential regulatory violations. Marketing agreements with major brands appear to include clauses that guaranteed certain sales figures or media impressions, regardless of actual consumer demand. These arrangements allegedly created artificial success metrics that distorted market perceptions and influenced stock prices of partner companies. Most chilling of all are the testimonies regarding witness intimidation. Former employees describe a culture of fear maintained through both subtle and overt threats. Job offers mysteriously rescinded, career opportunities abruptly withdrawn, and personal information leaked to tabloids. These tactics allegedly ensured compliance among those aware of the operation's inner workings. One particularly disturbing pattern emerged in the testimony of several witnesses who claimed to have received identical anonymous letters warning them against testifying, each containing detailed information about their family's daily routines. Through careful examination of timestamps and metadata, investigators have identified periods where key documentation appears to have been systematically destroyed or altered. Digital forensics experts have traced deletion patterns across multiple devices, suggesting coordinated efforts to erase incriminating evidence. Yet ironically, these attempts at cover-up have only strengthened the case against those involved, as data recovery specialists have managed to reconstruct significant portions of the missing information, providing even more comprehensive proof of the alleged wrongdoing. The legal chess game begins. The legal implications of this unfolding drama are proving to be as complex as they are far-reaching. Leading white-collar crime attorney Rachel Mendelsohn explains that the situation presents prosecutors with what she calls a perfect storm of prosecutorial opportunities. The combination of financial irregularities, alleged exploitation practices, and documented instances of intimidation creates multiple avenues for legal action that could span federal, state, and international jurisdictions. At the forefront of potential charges stands the matter of racketeering, with elements strongly suggesting violations of the racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations. Federal prosecutors are reportedly examining whether the alleged network of offshore accounts and manipulated contracts constitutes an ongoing criminal enterprise. The presence of interstate and international commerce in these transactions automatically triggers federal jurisdiction, giving authorities broad powers to investigate and prosecute. Sources indicate that grand jury proceedings may already be underway, with subpoenas issued to financial institutions across multiple countries. State-level investigations are proceeding along parallel tracks, focusing particularly on labor law violations and business practices that may constitute fraud. California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing has opened an inquiry into allegations of coercive control and workplace safety violations, while New York's Attorney General is reportedly examining potential securities law infractions related to investment vehicles tied to music rights. The complexity of modern entertainment finance means these investigations could lead to charges ranging from wage theft to securities fraud to human trafficking. Perhaps most concerning for those involved are the international dimensions of the case. With shell companies incorporated in multiple overseas jurisdictions and funds flowing through international banking systems, this matter has drawn attention from global regulatory bodies. The European Union's anti-money laundering directive authorities have expressed interest in certain transactions processed through EU-based financial institutions, while Caribbean regulatory bodies are reportedly cooperating with U.S. authorities regarding suspicious account activities in their territories. The legal strategy employed by Diddy's defense team has been equally sophisticated, involving a network of top-tier attorneys specialized in everything from corporate law to criminal defense. They've filed motions challenging the admissibility of the leaked footage on technical grounds, arguing chain of custody issues and potential violations of protective orders. Simultaneously, they're pursuing aggressive countersuits against parties involved in the leak, alleging conspiracy to commit tortious interference with business relationships and violation of non-disclosure agreements. Insurance carriers are finding themselves in an unprecedented position, with multiple policies potentially triggered by these developments. Errors and omissions coverage, directors' and officers' liability insurance, and even kidnap and ransom policies are being reviewed for applicability. The situation has become so complex that several major insurers have formed a joint task force to coordinate responses and assess potential liabilities, recognizing that the outcome could set important precedents for entertainment industry coverage. Meanwhile, class action attorneys are circling like sharks, with multiple firms filing motions to represent affected artists and employees. These lawsuits allege systematic exploitation and seek damages not just for lost earnings, but for emotional distress and punitive compensation. The proposed classes include not only current and former bad boy artists, but also support staff who claim to have witnessed or experienced improper conduct. If certified, these actions could result in one of the largest entertainment industry settlements in history. Regulatory bodies are also taking notice, with the Federal Trade Commission launching an investigation into potential unfair trade practices. The Securities and Exchange Commission has reportedly joined the fray, examining whether investors were misled about the true nature of certain financial arrangements. Tax authorities from multiple jurisdictions are coordinating efforts to determine appropriate liabilities, while banking regulators are scrutinizing financial institutions' compliance with anti-money laundering protocols in relation to these transactions. The ripple effect across entertainment, the aftershocks of this scandal are reverberating through every corner of the entertainment industry, forcing a fundamental re-evaluation of long-established practices. Major labels are implementing sweeping reforms in their artist development and contract negotiation processes, with Warner Music Group leading the charge by establishing an independent ethics oversight committee. Universal Music has followed suit, introducing standardized contract templates, with transparent royalty structures and mandatory third-party reviews of all artist agreements. Perhaps most significantly, we're witnessing a paradigm shift in how music industry professionals view their roles and responsibilities. Managers and agents are increasingly positioning themselves as advocates rather than mere deal makers, with several prominent firms establishing dedicated departments focused on artist welfare and career sustainability. The Association of Talent Agents has announced new certification requirements that include training in ethical business practices and conflict resolution, reflecting a growing recognition that representation must extend beyond commercial interests. Streaming platforms are responding with unprecedented transparency initiatives. Spotify has launched a comprehensive audit of all label agreements, while Apple Music has introduced new analytics tools allowing artists to track their earnings in real time. These moves come amidst growing pressure from artist advocacy groups demanding greater visibility into revenue distribution and royalty calculations. The Digital Media Association has facilitated roundtable discussions between platforms, labels, and artists to develop standardized reporting frameworks that could revolutionize how streaming economics are understood and managed. The impact extends far beyond music into adjacent entertainment sectors. Film and television studios are revisiting their talent contracting practices, implementing safeguards against similar patterns of exploitation. Major production companies have established independent review boards to oversee casting and employment decisions, while talent agencies are developing new protocols for handling sensitive information and protecting client interests. The Writers Guild of America has seized this moment to push for stronger protections in creative contracts, achieving breakthroughs in areas that had previously resisted reform. Financial institutions serving the entertainment sector are undergoing their own transformation. Banks and investment firms are developing specialized compliance programs tailored to the unique risks of entertainment finance, incorporating enhanced due diligence procedures and transaction monitoring systems. Insurance providers are collaborating to create new products addressing emerging risks, while simultaneously tightening underwriting standards for existing coverage. The result is a more robust but also more complex financial ecosystem that demands greater expertise and vigilance from all participants. Education and training programs are evolving to prepare future industry leaders for this new reality. Prestigious institutions like Berklee College of Music and USC's Thornton School of Music have overhauled their business curricula to emphasize ethics and corporate responsibility alongside traditional music industry topics. Internship programs now include mandatory modules on legal compliance and fair business practices, ensuring that tomorrow's executives enter the field with a more comprehensive understanding of their obligations to artists and society. Perhaps most encouraging is the emergence of new industry coalitions dedicated to maintaining these higher standards. Groups like the Ethical Music Alliance and the Artist Rights Collective have gained significant influence, leveraging this moment to push for lasting change. They're working with legislators to craft regulation that balances necessary oversight with artistic freedom, while also developing best practices that can be adopted industry-wide. The result is a growing movement that seeks not just to address past wrongs, but to build a more equitable and sustainable future for entertainment. This scandal has also catalyzed technological innovation in rights management and royalty distribution. Blockchain-based solutions for tracking ownership and payments are gaining traction, with several major labels piloting systems that promise unprecedented transparency and efficiency. Artificial intelligence tools for analyzing contract terms and identifying potential red flags are being developed and implemented at an accelerated pace. These advancements aren't just responses to current challenges, they represent fundamental shifts in how the industry operates, promising to make exploitation much harder to conceal and fair compensation easier to ensure. As we reflect on this unprecedented chapter in music history, it's impossible not to recognize its profound implications for our understanding of power dynamics in the entertainment industry. This scandal has shattered the illusion of invincibility that once surrounded music moguls, revealing the fragile foundations upon which empires were built. More importantly, it has exposed the urgent need for systemic change that goes far deeper than any single individual's transgressions. The entertainment world stands at a crossroads, forced to confront uncomfortable truths about how success has traditionally been achieved and maintained. The real significance of this moment lies in its potential to redefine what accountability means in an industry long characterized by opacity and privilege. For decades, the music business operated under unwritten rules that prioritized profit over principle, often at great cost to artists and workers. Now faced with undeniable evidence of systemic abuse, the industry faces a choice to implement meaningful reforms or risk losing its moral authority entirely. The public's reaction, a mixture of outrage and cautious optimism, suggests that simply returning to business as usual is no longer an option. What makes this situation particularly compelling is how it's challenging conventional notions of justice in entertainment. Traditionally, industry scandals resulted in temporary setbacks followed by carefully orchestrated comebacks. This time feels different. The sheer scale of alleged wrongdoing, combined with the detailed documentation now in the public domain, has created momentum for genuine transformation. Social media has amplified voices that were once marginalized, making it impossible to ignore the human cost of unchecked power. Artists and workers are demanding not just punishment for past offenses but structural changes that prevent future abuses. The story of Diddy's alleged downfall serves as a stark reminder that no amount of success or influence can shield one from accountability in the digital age. The speed with which information spread, the global reach of the scandal's impact, and the coordinated response from various stakeholders demonstrate how fundamentally the landscape has shifted. Technology has democratized access to information while creating new mechanisms for holding power to account. This case may well serve as a blueprint for addressing similar situations in the future, establishing precedents for transparency and justice that could benefit countless artists and industry professionals. Yet perhaps the most hopeful aspect of this saga is how it's galvanizing a new generation of industry leaders committed to doing things differently. Young executives, artists, and entrepreneurs are watching closely, learning valuable lessons about the consequences of abuse and the importance of ethical leadership. They're building businesses and careers based on principles of fairness, transparency, and mutual respect, values that were often sacrificed in pursuit of success in previous eras. This cultural shift represents the true power of accountability, demonstrating how moments of crisis can become catalysts for positive change. As the legal proceedings continue and the full extent of alleged wrongdoing comes to light, it's crucial to remember that this isn't just about one person or one company. It's about confronting the systemic issues that allowed such practices to flourish unchecked for so long. The courage of those who came forward, the persistence of investigators, and the willingness of industry leaders to embrace reform offer hope that this moment could mark a turning point in entertainment history. The question now is whether this momentum can be sustained, transforming temporary outrage into lasting progress. Looking ahead, the entertainment industry faces both challenges and opportunities. Implementing meaningful change requires more than good intentions. It demands structural reforms, technological innovations, and cultural shifts that may take years to fully realize. But the fact that these conversations are happening at all, that power brokers are acknowledging problems and working towards solutions, represents significant progress. The story of Diddy's alleged fall from grace may ultimately be remembered not for its sensational details but for the systemic changes it helped inspire. In the end, this scandal serves as a powerful reminder that true legacy isn't built on wealth or influence alone. It's shaped by how one uses power, treats others, and contributes to the betterment of their community. As the music industry grapples with these revelations, it has an opportunity to emerge stronger, more equitable, and more accountable. The road ahead won't be easy, but the alternative, maintaining a broken system, is no longer acceptable. This moment of reckoning could prove to be the catalyst for creating an entertainment industry that truly reflects the values it claims to represent.